other stories around today here that, again, we've lost track of where we are as a country. If 3 million people are this close to homelessness, and another report says that younger generations believe you need $300,000 a year, that's the job that you need, to be able to buy a house, and even then it's not the dream house, or even pay for the rent for the place you really want to live in, not the one that you're currently living in, we've got a problem, right? Now, there are lots of solutions to all of this. The Greens will have a left-wing populist approach to it. One Nation has a right-wing populist approach to it. But there's clearly a problem in the way our society feels, and the great gulf and distance between the numbers being spat out from a computer in Canberra, spun by the politicians, discussed by the media, and the reality of what is happening on the ground. And also, there seems to be a real move to try to pretend that the great straw man of this campaign is not the failures of the government. It's not the lack of detail from the opposition, but apparently this election is supposedly some sort of faux referendum on Donald Trump. Because the very same news services that failed to mention the human cost of things desperately want to turn this election into some sort of, as I say, proxy referendum about Donald Trump. A story's been brewing for the past couple of days that our government and opposition are getting all hairy-chested because they will not negotiate and will never give up on the pharmaceutical benefits scheme. Now, of course, no one is threatening the pharmaceutical benefits scheme. Some reporters have got in touch with the drug industry in the United States, and the drug industry apparently has a problem with it, but Australia's never changing Medicare or never changing the pharmaceutical benefits scheme, both of which fully exist under the current free trade agreement with the United States. And then again, another news service tonight has been able to find a lobby group somewhere saying that Australia should be punished for our attitudes when it comes to banning kids from social media. How is a football stadium of people losing their jobs in 1 month not enough of a story? That you have to go and kind of make up the stories about the big orange man who needs handsome boy Albo to stand up to him.
Tim, first it was tariffs, now the pharmaceutical benefits scheme could possibly come under attack from the Trump administration.
Yes, Tash, there's a lot of nervousness around what the US president will do on April 2nd when we expect another round of tariffs.
The other worry for the government is a potential battle with US pharmaceutical giants who are currently lobbying the US president to impose tariffs on Australia to punish the government for making these medicines cheaper.
They have called Australia's PBS scheme egregious and discriminatory, and they've urged Donald Trump to retaliate against Australia.
There have been millions of people that have suffered as a result of this government being in charge for the past 3 years. Take your pick. 10 million people lost $1,500 as a guaranteed tax return in the first Albanese budget. That $1,500 that would have become $3,000, that would have become $4,500 the third time around, would have been a serious amount of money that meant people would have been able to do things like pay off a credit card, maybe buy a new fridge, do something to get through the year. Instead, no, that was pulled away. And the money that had previously gone into that guarantee of $1,500 for 10 million workers has been spread about for political benefit, particularly on things like student debt and other little ideas which are about saving the Labor Party's backside. So until you are $4,500 better off, and that will not be coming in this budget, regardless of what they say, then you are already behind in terms of the decisions made by government, let alone 12 interest rate rises, let alone the cost of living increases, which have been so relentless over the past 3 years. And all of this, of course, was from a government that promised to make it better. So rather than deciding whether you rehire the people who lied their way into power, there are so many very powerful forces in our country who want to distract you by thinking that rather than voting for the Australian Prime Minister, who has done a poor job over the past 3 years, you have the chance to vote against the American president, who the majority of Australians do not support. I do. You may. But that's their whole calculation. And I think it is probably going to work, which says a lot about the way that the people who are paid to talk about our country care so little about the people actually in the country that are suffering, who have been the people who have been punished by a government that promised to do better. Watch this space. Because apart from running against Orange Man Bad or trying to pretend that Peter Dutton is Donald Trump, and that'll of course mean that he has to say, I'm not Donald Trump, and then the right wing will turn around and say, well, if he's not Trumpy enough, I'm not voting for him. And we basically get 2022 again, as opposed to 2019, where if you are on the centre-right, if you are on the conservative side, if you are on the traditional side, if you are somebody who wants to punish this government, OK, you can vote minor party, but your number two preference has to be for the Libs or the Nats, because they're the party that are the only ones who can form government to take it off Anthony Albanese. And if that doesn't work, well, then they'll just try to buy your vote, won't they?
A $7.2 billion announcement today. $5 million. $10 million. $200 million. $3 billion. $350 million. $2 billion. $37 million. $842 million. $2.4 billion. $8.5 billion. $4.8 billion. $1 billion. $3.4 billion. The maximum amount they'll pay for a PBS prescription is just $25.
Jim Chalmers will stand up, as you know, on Tuesday night and outline all of our revenue and our spending measures.